Driving west from Amatenango, the road drops down into the Grijalva River Valley. A gravel side road leads downhill to the village of Puerto. The Amatenango Christians evangelized about 10 families in Puerto, and on this Sunday they are worshiping with them at the home of one of the converts. In front of the house, a large tarp gives shade to the congregation. Saltal missionary Roberto Santis and the Amatenango elders lead the service from the porch of the home. They are enjoying singing out of their new hymnals. The Amatenango choir provides the special music. Elder Mariano Perez preaches the sermon. Following the service, they celebrate with Coca-Cola and orange Fanta. The deacons make sure everyone is served. At the end of the celebration, the Puerto believers gather for a photo. On another Sunday, the new Puerto converts are received at a worship service in Amatenango. There are many adult baptisms administered by Pastor Mariano Gomez, including this young man and this young woman. Then came a wedding ceremony for 5 couples, including this young couple, and an older couple, another younger couple, and a middle-aged one. All of them confirmed their marriage vows. They hold hands as Pastor Mariano reads the liturgy. This is followed by the baptism of their children, and there is an abundance of them. All are dressed in their Sunday best. Steve Engel, son of Wycliffe missionaries, is enjoying the service. But while the families are worshiping in Amatenango, the villagers of Puerto are dismantling the homes of the believers. They tore off the tin roofs and board walls, loaded it on trucks, and dumped it all in a huge pile alongside the highway. They stripped the homes of everything of value. The 65 Puerto believers gathered as refugees at Roberto's house in Teopisca, building some temporary shelters in his backyard. Steve Engel and the Amatenango elders helped them in their appeal to the regional authorities, who eventually forced the villagers to permit the return of the believers. So 8 months later, they returned to their homes. Even though it meant having to rebuild their homes, they were happy to begin again. They temporarily enclosed the buildings with branches, and with funds from other believers and the regional government, they built new houses. Sheets of plastic gave some privacy until they were able to enclose their buildings with boards. They were also able to purchase this building in the background to serve as their church building. It is located on the village square and had served as a storage place for honey and beehives. But the arrival of the African bees had devastated honey production, and the building was available. Pastor Mariano and the elders from Pachtontica and Amatenango gathered there for a Sunday service to formally organize the Puerto congregation. 5 elders were chosen and ordained to lead the congregation. The Amatenango Instrumental Group provided special music, as did Roberto, Micaela, and their sons. Also, Roberto and Steve Engel sang a duet. The building was completely filled, with some overflow in the front yard. Seated in the front row is Steve's wife, Mari, and their daughters. Helen's presence is once again revealed by her glasses. The Puerto believers immediately shared the gospel with the next village down the road, evangelizing these 2 families. The good news is meant to be shared. Returning now to Amatenango, we begin with the conversion of Timoteo Lopez, the village leader. Here he is seated between 2 other village authorities. To celebrate the first anniversary of his conversion, Timoteo planned a big party at his house. His daughter and her son were the first in the family to become believers, and his wife had encouraged Timoteo to do likewise. Standing behind them are Celtal missionary Roberto and the Amatenango elders. The Amatenango choir sang during the service. An instrumental group also provided loud music, and in the backyard food was being prepared. The women were cooking huge pots of a sweetened ground corn drink called ul. There was beef stew for everyone, and the elders and the deacons served at a table on the porch. Meanwhile, the women were served inside the house, seated on the floor which was covered with pine needles. They provided a chair for Helen, since she was recovering from back surgery and could not sit on the floor. The kids gathered to eat in groups outside, and they thoroughly enjoyed the stew and the Pepsi-Cola. They are a very photogenic group. This couple was having some marital difficulties and invited Roberto and the elders to their home. They gathered on the porch for the counseling session. The instrumental group from the church was also invited. They provided a festive atmosphere for the counseling session. The entire group also sang some hymns from their new hymnals. Then came the time for confession, as the couple described their conflict. Roberto and the elders listened carefully, and then gave them some wise counsel, which was concluded by a prayer given by Roberto, and marriage happiness was thus restored. Now we attend a wedding in Amatenango. Since the groom's father has died, Roberto took his place and leads the groom and his mother from the house. Pastor Mariano will lead the service. Also coming from the house are the bride and her parents. They stand before the table, and the parents of the bride are asked, "Are you willing to give your daughter to this man?" The service included a sermon on Christian marriage, and then hands are held and vows are spoken. One Sunday morning we arrived in Amatenango to find a group from Corralito led by Pastor Francisco Gomez. Accompanying him were his wife, daughter, and 4 elders and their wives. For Helen and for them it was a delight to be together again, since we had lived in Corralito many years before. It called for a photo with Francisco's daughter, Sarah. Also from Corralito has come this impressive music group. They provided the special music during the service. We close this chapter of Amatenango church history with a final photo of Pastor Francisco and his wife, who now await our arrival in heaven.